Investigation for what authorities call targeting the state. His two brothers have also been arrested. Al Jazeera has issued a statement in response to Hussein's arrest. This is how it reads. The network denies all the allegations against our colleague as baseless and holds the Egyptian authorities responsible for his well-being while he is in their custody. The statement goes on to say that it also rejects the detention and demands the immediate release of our colleague Mahmoud Hussein. Al Jazeera also warns the Egyptian authorities against any attempt to torture our colleague and force him into false confessions. The U.S.-based Committee to Protect Journalists named Egypt the world's second worst jailer of journalists in 2015. As of this December, 23 journalists have been put in prison in that country. A new counter-terrorism law imposed in August 2015 severely curtails journalists' ability to report on national security topics. The already high rate of media freedom violations spiked during the parliamentary election period during that same year. Wafik Moustafa is chairman of the British Arab Network and author of Egypt, a Nation in Crisis. He is also the former chairman of the Egyptian Community Association UK, and he joins us from London, and we appreciate your time. What is your immediate concern for Mahmoud as he's sitting in jail right now?
It's clear that Mahmoud Hussein been arrested and on false charges. There was no evidence at all against Mahmoud Hussein, and the Egyptian government must release him really immediately, because the track record of Egyptian government or authorities is imprisoning scores of journalists, probably about 50 or 60 journalists been imprisoned, and 3 from Al Jazeera not long ago. And I fear such irrational behavior of the authorities in Egypt by arresting someone who is visiting his family is very, very negative indeed, and very worrying, particularly if he is well exposed to torture or not allowed a proper justice.
What is driving this crackdown on journalists, on press freedom in Egypt? What is driving it?
I think the regime is passing through crisis over the last year or two. As we know, Egyptian economy is collapsing. The Egyptian currency have been devalued about 70%, and there is a huge discontent on the streets in Egypt, and the regime has really been arrested about 60,000 people. And actually, the Egyptian media are noted for spreading false information as well, which is quite worrying. And the Sisi regime is quite isolated internationally, and even within the Middle East itself has been isolating itself in different ways. So I think it's just an irrational act and not within any rules of the law.
Is there any pressure from anywhere, from the outside or even internally within the country that could force some sort of accountability for this trend?
I think the country passing through huge turbulence, and as we see, it's a military dictatorship and people are oppressed. Egypt has got probably the highest level of journalists in prison in Middle East and Africa. And that's by itself say a lot of things about the freedom of expression in Egypt, and how people can express their views about the government. The government is stifling any opposition or any free voice. And as I say, its track over the last 2-3 years is appalling and very worrying indeed. And I hope international community and governments really bear heavily on the regime to release Mahmoud Hussein and other journalists and other people, 60,000 people in prison, because this torture is becoming culture in the Egyptian prisons.
Okay,
And
Mr.
that is
I'm sorry,
worrying.
we're gonna. Indeed, it is. Mr. Moustafa, Wafik Moustafa, thank you so much for your insight on this. We appreciate it. And as